Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. And today we have a set of 4 great stories waiting for us, so I hope you get comfortable, and let's get started. And our first story today. Waiting to hear from a complaint made about me to my old job. I used to work in a mobile phone retail store in our local town. Pretty small town, so after a year or two, you get familiar with the customers. This helps for repeat business. Now, there's one lady customer who doesn't understand personal space, for one, and just wants everything done for her. Whenever I've served her in the past, she sits right next to you, stands over your shoulder, and almost walked into the back with me once while getting her new phone. I already dislike her, as one night after work, we went to the local pub for steak night and a pint. I could see her in my peripheral vision, beelining towards me as I was about to eat. She says she just saw me and wanted to say hi. Before I could say hi back, she said there's a problem with her phone and thrust it almost into my hands while my food was underneath me. I explained that I was eating, but she says it's just a quick question. Nothing seems to register with her, that I'm not at work, I'm eating my food, and that I don't want to help her right now. But it's a pretty easy fix, and after a minute it's sorted. At this point, I'm made aware that my drink has run out in the hope that she would offer to buy her something, but nope, she just takes her phone with a quick thanks and runs back to her table. So I see her a couple days ago as I'm walking the dog. The dog normally goes to the toilet while I walk, so I'm currently holding one poo bag and the lead. Again, beeline straight for me. Now, I've not worked there for a few months, and regular customers have started to realize this. She doesn't even say hi this time, just whips out her phone and says that I didn't give her the best deal when she came in last week, and the phone's starting to act faulty. I apologize and tell her I don't work there anymore. And she started to actually rant at me on the street about how I just take her money and what has she been paying for, etc. Not in the mood for it. And I tell her I don't work there. I changed jobs before Christmas, and I pull her up on being rude, just assuming I would help because it's outside of work hours as well. Then she says to me it's in my job description once I've sold her a phone to always be available, as that's what service she's paying for. I gesture to her, I have a poo bag in my hand, and I can say, this is the only crap I can give right now. Her face is a picture of absolutely stunned, wide-mouthed O. I tell her if she's not happy to go to the shop or carry on walking. She shouts outrage and makes it clear that I'll receive an official complaint not only to the shop, but to the trading standards and the local newspaper. So it should be fun to see if anything comes from it. I almost cried when you lifted the bag of poo and said, this is the only crap I could give. And our second story for today. Old lady mistakes mugger as employee. I work for a convenience store that has a strict always comply with muggers policy. I think because it's cheaper for them to deal with losing whatever's in the register than fighting a lawsuit from an employee hurt defending it. I've worked here off and on for the last 5 years, and I've been in the store for 6 robberies. They're usually pretty straightforward. Guy comes in, give me the money. We do, they leave. We call the cops. Cops don't do anything. We have cameras, but this neighborhood has bigger problems, so they never follow up on petty theft. One of those times, though, the kid didn't wear a mask, just a hoodie. Comes in with the hood up, young kid, couldn't have been more than 18 or 20. He paces around for a while, I guess trying to get his nerve up. I figured he was an underage kid trying to work up the courage to buy some beer at first. It was really early in the morning, and we were the only people in the store. He approached the register and said he has a gun, doesn't pull it out, was probably bluffing, and that he won't use it as long as I give him money. Talking all tough about don't try anything today and I'm not the one, etc. I pop open the register and he jumps behind the counter to take the money out. As he's doing this, an old woman comes in. Now, I was really nervous because I didn't want the old lady to be in a dangerous situation, but before I could react, she recognizes the kid. She runs up to him and goes, "Oh, Noah! Hello, dear! How are you?" The kid just freezes behind the counter, hands full of cash. She's older and, I guess, deaf, so she's shouting, "I didn't realize you'd gotten a job. Good for you, dear. You know, I just saw your mama the other day and she didn't mention it." He's like, "No, I don't," but she's not listening. "Your mama never tells me anything." "I don't work." "Don't interrupt me, hun. Anyways, your mama never tells me anything." And she's just chattering on. Then she starts shopping. So I'm just standing there, frozen, waiting to see how this plays out with the guy still behind the register with me. The kid was probably a foot taller than me, and I didn't want to get into an altercation if I could help it. She goes through, and she's shopping, and goes, "Noah, hon, could you help me reach this, please?" And he's like, "I don't." And she's like, "What are you going to do? Make me beg here?" So he goes over and dead ass starts helping her get things from high shelves. She's like, "Is this really the best price you've got for this?" And he's like, yeah. While he's doing that, I call the cops. I think he knows I must have been doing that because he's beyond antsy. At one point, he tried to bail, but she was like, "Hold on, don't clock out yet. I'll be just a minute. I want to see you at work. This is so exciting. You're all grown up." So he's standing there, awkward and panicked, trying to make a decision. Eventually, she goes to check out, and I scan her items, keeping an eye on him. And she goes, "Oh, no. Can Noah check me out? He's my friend's son. I didn't know I was visiting him at work. This is so exciting." Wanting to keep things cool until she was out of the store on the off chance the kid did have a weapon of some kind or wasn't stable, I just stepped aside and let him check her out. He didn't really know how to use the scanner or anything, but he got through it. She left. Once she walked out, he ran out of the store and jumped into a car. He didn't get any money from us. It was another 20 minutes before the cops got there, so it wouldn't have mattered either way. But that was the most memorable robbery for me, as robberies go. Not sure if the story fits this sub, but when I saw this sub, I had to share this one. I mean, he technically was working, kind of, just not for us. I hope he realizes what a close call that was and turns his life around. And our third story. Job keeps scheduling well beyond time that I quit. Reading some of your posts reminds me of this fun situation. A few years back, I was waiting tables at one of those places where you could easily pay all your bills, plus some, working 3 or 4 shifts a week. Because I had so much downtime, I'd do things like have random road trips if I had too many days off. I decided it'd be a good idea to get a second job. I ended up taking a job working at a hotel waiting tables for breakfast. Surprisingly, hotel breakfast servers in nice hotels can make decent money. This might be a good time to mention they had to hire breakfast people because existing staff just wouldn't show up if scheduled. Anyway, it's a mess from the beginning. They're trying to do team service during breakfast, which is unnecessary and confusing to guests. More than once, I'd show up to be the only front waiter, the person who actually takes the order and talks to guests, with 3 people whose only job it is to keep drinks full and who would have a fit every time I sold alcohol. It's a drinking city, and people want booze for breakfast. And another 3 whose job it was to clear and reset. Completely unacceptable on a Saturday morning in a full hotel. Eventually, I was over it and turned in my 2 weeks' notice. The schedule comes out for the week after I'm supposed to be done, and I'm on it. I talk to the manager and remind him that I turned in my notice, and I'm scheduled past my last day. I agree to work that week, but that's it. Next schedule, same thing, same conversation. 3rd week rolls around, and I'm over it. I remind all the managers that my last day was 2 weeks ago and advise them to look at the schedule. I didn't show up for any of the shifts that week, so I assumed the matter was closed. Fast forward 2 weeks later, now 7 weeks after I turned in my notice, and 5 weeks after what was supposed to be my last day, my phone is ringing off the hook at 7 a.m. It's one of the managers desperately trying to call me in. I remind him that I quit over a month ago. Turns out that not a single front waiter showed up, and the small army on the floor was incapable of doing anything beyond pouring coffee or grabbing juice. Things I told them about as part of my reason for leaving. I just told him, "Sorry, I don't work there, and it's not my problem," and hung up. Never heard from them again after that. And our next story. Yep, you caught me. I don't work at Disney World. For a while in my 20s, I decided to spend my money and free time at Disney World. While I was happy to go with friends, I just as often went alone, usually when I was in town for conferences. Since I didn't want to kill my phone battery playing games in line, I'd occasionally strike up conversations with people nearby. My IDWHL moment occurred during one of those trips. I'm in line for the Haunted Mansion, the best, behind a dad and his daughter. I forget how our conversation started, but I ended up sharing some trivia about the ride and telling them to follow me when we got inside. I knew where to stand to get them on the ride sooner. Dad was impressed. "You know so much about this ride. Do you work here?" "No, sir. This is just my favorite, and I've learned a few things in my frequent travels." "No, you know too much. I bet you work here." I wish I did, but sadly I don't. The dad was eager to catch me in my secret employment. Where are the nearest restrooms? Me, amused but annoyed. I really don't know. I promise I don't work here. Okay, where's the haunted mansion? Me, pointing with one finger to the building ahead of us. Ha! You don't work here. Disney cast members point with two fingers because some cultures feel pointing with one finger is rude. Me, rolling my eyes out of my skull. Yep, you got me. I don't work here. He was so pleased with this gotcha moment, I think he forgot that seconds earlier, he was convinced I was a cast member. I tried to tell you, dude, but okay. Hey, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.